The dorm towered above the city, a sentinel of steel and glass. Its neon lights flickered like the heartbeat of a giant, casting an eerie glow over the streets below. The building was a monolith, a testament to human ambition and technological prowess. A monolith of steel and flickering neon against the synthetic twilight. The sky, a perpetual twilight, was painted in hues of purple and blue, a canvas for the neon lights that danced across the skyline. The city was alive, a living organism of metal and light pulsing with energy. Rain, acidic and relentless, lashed against the windows. Each drop sizzled on contact, a reminder of the city's toxic atmosphere. The rain was a constant companion, a relentless force that washed away the grime but left the soul untouched. It was a symphony of chaos, a cacophony of nature and technology clashing in a never-ending battle. Inside, the air hummed with the thrum of countless devices, a digital heartbeat in the concrete heart of the city. The room was a sanctuary of technology, filled with the glow of screens and the hum of processors. It was a place where the digital and the physical worlds collided, creating a symphony of light and sound. But beneath the hum, whispers snaked through the corridors. Whispers of nightmares. The hallways were empty, yet they were filled with the echoes of unseen voices. The whispers were like ghosts, haunting the shadows and filling the air with a sense of dread. They spoke of things unseen, of fears and dreams that lurked in the darkness, whispers of the dream hunter. A figure shrouded in mystery, a shadow that moved through the neon-lit corridors like a phantom. The dream hunter was a legend, a myth whispered in hushed tones. Some said he was a guardian, others a predator. But all agreed on one thing: he was a force to be reckoned with, a presence that could not be ignored. The neon signs flickered, casting sporadic shadows that danced on the walls. Each flicker was a heartbeat, a pulse of the city's lifeblood. The signs were more than just lights. They were symbols, markers of a world where technology reigned supreme. They told stories of the past and hinted at the future, a future where the line between man and machine was blurred. A lone figure stood by the window, gazing out at the city. The neon lights reflected in their eyes, a kaleidoscope of colours that mirrored the chaos outside. They were a part of this world, yet separate from it, a solitary observer in a city that never slept. The figure was lost in thought, contemplating the whispers that filled the air and the shadows that lurked in the corners. A hand reached out, touching the neon-lit surface. The light was warm, almost alive, a connection to the city's pulse. It was a moment of contact, a bridge between the physical and the digital. The hand lingered, feeling the hum of energy that flowed through the neon, a reminder of the power that lay beneath the surface. The city stretched out below, a sprawling expanse of light and shadow. It was a world of contrasts, of beauty and decay, of hope and despair. The neon lights were like stars, guiding the way through the darkness. And in the midst of it all, the whispers continued, a constant reminder of the secrets that lay hidden in the neon towers, and the shadows that whispered of dreams and nightmares. He came for the nightmares. A shadow in the labyrinthine corridors, his trench coat billowing behind him, his eyes augmented with glowing circuitry, scanned the rooms, searching for the telltale signs of psychic disturbance. Tonight his quarry was a young woman, her dreams plagued by a digital entity, a virus of the mind. She felt it first in her dreams. It was a sensation that crept into her subconscious, a cold shiver that slithered down her spine and settled in her chest. Night after night, the feeling grew stronger, more insistent, until it was impossible to ignore. She would wake up drenched in sweat, her heart pounding, the echo of a croak lingering in her ears, a presence cold and damp squatting on her chest. Then she saw it. At first, it was just a shadow, a dark blotch in the corner of her vision. But as the nights wore on, the shadow took form, becoming more defined, more real. It was as if the creature was feeding off her fear, growing stronger with each passing night. A frog, impossibly large, its skin slick with a viscous, oily substance. It was unlike any frog she had ever seen, its body glistening with a dark, iridescent sheen. The creature's presence was overwhelming, its size and unnatural appearance making it seem like a monster from a nightmare. She could feel the weight of its gaze, a heavy, oppressive force that pinned her to the bed. Its eyes, black and soulless, stared into hers. And then it leaped. Those eyes were like voids, empty and unfeeling, yet they seemed to bore into her very soul. She could see her own reflection in those dark orbs, a tiny, terrified figure trapped in an endless abyss. The frog's sudden movement was a blur, a flash of oily skin and powerful legs propelling it through the air. Not in the dream, but in the waking world, materializing in her room with a sickening splat. The sound was wet and heavy, a grotesque reminder that this was no mere figment of her imagination. She could smell the creature now, a pungent, acrid odor that filled the room and made her gag. The frog was real, and it was here, in her sanctuary, turning her reality into a living nightmare. She knew she had to confront it. But how do you fight something that seems to come from the depths of your own mind? He felt a surge of energy, a disruption in the digital ether. Something was wrong. The nightmares were intensifying, coalescing around a single point. He followed the signal, his boots echoing on the metal grates, the whispers growing louder, more insistent. They led him to her door. He kicked down the door. The room was in chaos, furniture overturned, data streams flashing erratically across the walls, and in the center, the frog. It crouched, its eyes fixed on him, a low croaking emanating from its throat. As he watched, it leaped again, its shadow stretching across the walls, distorting, multiplying. He drew his weapon, a device that crackled with contained energy designed to trap nightmares. But the frog was too fast. It leaped again, landing on his chest, its cold, slimy skin pressing against his. He felt a sharp pain, then numbness spreading through his body. His vision blurred. She watched in horror as the frog, her nightmare, turned on the dream hunter. But as she watched, something changed. The frog didn't attack. Instead, it seemed to merge with him, its form blurring, its essence seeping into his. The air crackled with energy, the room bathed in an eerie green light. Then silence. The light faded. The frog was gone. The dream hunter lay still, his eyes closed. She crept closer, her heart pounding. He was alive but different. His skin shimmered, faintly green in the dim light. He opened his eyes, and she gasped. They were no longer human, they were the eyes of the frog. He rose, his movements fluid, almost reptilian. The neon lights flickered, casting eerie shadows that danced around him. His eyes, cold and calculating, scanned the room, taking in every detail, every possible threat. The air was thick with tension, a palpable sense of unease that seemed to cling to the walls. He turned to her, a slow smile spreading across his face. It was a smile that held no warmth, only a chilling promise of what was to come. She stood there, frozen, her heart pounding in her chest. The neon lights reflected in his eyes, giving them an otherworldly glow. The nightmares, he rasped, his voice distorted, guttural. They are all mine now. His words hung in the air, heavy and foreboding. She could feel the weight of them pressing down on her, suffocating her. The darkness seemed to close in, the neon lights flickering more erratically. He turned and leaped, disappearing into the night, a shadow swallowed by shadows. The cityscape stretched out before him, a labyrinth of neon and darkness. He moved with a predator's grace, blending seamlessly into the shadows. The night was his domain, a place where he could disappear, become nothing more than a whisper in the wind. Only the echo of his words and the lingering chill in the air remained. The city seemed to hold its breath, the silence almost deafening. She stood there alone, the weight of his words pressing down on her. The neon lights cast long shadows, the mist swirling around her feet. The night was alive with possibilities, but all she could feel was the cold, creeping dread that had settled in her bones.